Oh, real quick, because I know you like talk about it before spoilers. Is there anything we can really spoil except for the aesthetic critic? Like, I don't
Yeah.
think
I usually will leave like specific lines.
Okay.
That will be in spoilers.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah, spoiler. He gets a symbiote.
Can you believe it?
What?
Eddie Brock is Venom the whole time.
Crazy. Hey guys, and welcome back to another First Thoughts. It's been a minute. We just saw Venom. Now, if you hadn't heard, it's got some mixed reviews. The definition of mixed, because the critics hate it and fans have loved it. It's got something like a 30 by critics and like 80 some by audience on Rotten Tomatoes. So I had heard you kind of have to approach it with just a fun, open mind. And so that's what we did.
Yeah.
I kind of thought there'd be a so bad it's funny movie, and parts of it were, but it also was a pleasant surprise in some areas.
Yeah, it was way funnier than I thought. Laughed a whole lot more.
Right.
I was not expecting to laugh that much. I was expecting to laugh more at the movie than with the movie.
Right.
And yeah, it really caught me off guard.
I'm not going to pretend it was a good movie. It wasn't. It was written terribly. It had some of the worst lines I have ever heard in my life. Like, it's got all the traits of a badly written movie. Like, you've got pointless, like, lines that they repeat several times that, like, they think sound normal, but they don't.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so, small spoiler, Eddie Brock loses his job. Oh, no. He's interviewing Drake, the guy that is doing all the stuff with the symbiotes and stuff. Eddie Brock is interviewing him, and he gets thrown out like you see in the trailer, and the guy goes, "Hey, have a nice life." So then Eddie Brock goes, and he's talking to his boss about it, and his boss kicks him out and goes, "Hey, have a nice life." And, like, the first time they say it, you almost think, like, it's a joke because, like, the company's name is Life. So you're like, oh, I get it. That was stupid, but I get it. And then it happens a second time, and you're like, huh? Was he on the phone with him and he said it to him, and so then he's like, oh, that was a good line, I'm gonna say it to Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock's like, he already used it on me too. So it's just bad lines and bad dubbing of bad lines too.
Yeah.
So you've got that scene that you see in the trailer of the guy robbing the convenience store, and the entire time it's just obvious his mouth is moving completely different than what he's saying. It almost sounds like a guy doing an impression of him. Like the director was like watching the scene, was like, shoot, you can't understand his thing he says. All right, get a microphone. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Not to mention, he was only in it for that second, but he was very badly acted. Very badly.
It sounded like, I mean, the guy I'm assuming was actually Hispanic, but it sounded like a guy doing a bad, like comically
Actually,
bad
everything,
impression.
his look, the way he talked, everything was like stereotypical, like cholo. Like,
yeah, it was not
like,
good in that area.
No, the villain was pretty bland.
Oh, and
just
poorly acted.
Yeah, he wasn't a good actor. I don't know who he is, but he wasn't very good.
I feel like I've seen him in something before, but I don't know his name.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's been in, but it was bad. The majority of the casting was bad.
No.
I'd say everything outside of Venom was a bad choice, honestly.
Yeah.
And so because
really
Venom doesn't really come into play until like a half hour into the movie, the first half hour is the worst part by far. It feels like everything's happening really fast paced, but we're not getting anywhere. Nothing's happening, but everything that is not happening is happening fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Hold on real quick. I'm sorry, you're going to have to edit this out. The woman actress who played the assistant,
The doctor, yeah.
She was, I can't remember her actual name, but she's very, very bad actress.
She's a comedian.
Yeah,
like,
she's been in some comedic shows. She was on Parks and Recs, had a small bit part on that. She was on The Kroll Show, which was very funny, but
there's
in this
no
it was
way you're taking her seriously.
No, not at all. Not at all. She didn't look the part. She sounded like that over-the-top nerdy,
right?
Like just almost a stereotype.
Yeah.
It was a character.
All of these characters were caricatures. Like the bad guy, as much as I didn't like him, like he definitely was going for a type. Like I said, he reminded me of Mark Zuckerberg. You said he reminded him of Elon Musk. And it's just like it's just that character. And everybody in this movie is that character. Like, I mean, you've got the nerd bad guy, you've got the nerd scientist sort of bad guy, you've got all these stereotypes. Even Eddie Brock they changed his character to a New York stereotype.
As Eddie Brock, he almost seemed drunk the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, even before he was the Venom and dealing with the Venom taking him over, he just seemed kind of drunk the whole time. Like, he was just barely getting over, like, hungover constantly.
Yeah, and like, I saw somebody on Rotten Tomatoes compared his performance to Jim Carrey in Liar Liar, and I kind of was like, I don't understand how that could be a thing. Like, what?
Yeah.
And I watched the movie, and I got it. There was honestly moments in there that Tom Hardy just... I was like, what is he doing? I don't understand. And I'm not blaming Tom Hardy because I know he's a fantastic, amazing actor. I think it comes down to directing.
Yeah.
So there was some just odd choices. Like, small spoiler, there's this scene where he's got this annoying neighbor who's playing the guitar really loudly. And this is to set up a later scene with Venom in it. But you just have him going, oh, it's so loud. And he goes out of his door, stares at his neighbor's door, and goes... and then walks back into his apartment, and you're like, what?
I lost my shit during that. It was one of the funniest bits of the whole movie.
And like, when I was in the moment, I thought it was just bad, just like funny bad. Looking back on it now that I'm realizing, by the way, this is kind of a comedy.
Yeah,
honestly, it's an action comedy. If you're not expecting that surprise, it is.
You said it earlier, but it rivals Deadpool too.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm starting to wonder, maybe he was being funny on purpose. I don't know. Like, it was borderline. It was impossible to tell. This is the only movie I can think of that I've ever enjoyed ironically and unironically at the same time. It was amazing.
Yeah, because of the low reviews and stuff, I didn't know what to expect going into it. I kind of had low expectations, just hoping to be entertained. I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah.
And laughed a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
The first half hour, like I said, that's the worst part.
Yeah,
so
by far.
That part you're getting through by laughing at the badness of it. That's the only thing taking you through the first half hour. But after that, I wasn't bored once. Everything flowed great. Maybe a little fast in some places, but it was always just really just keeping your entertainment the whole time. That's not English. Keeping your attention the whole time. And I didn't mind any of it. Like, it was goofy, but you just compared it to Deadpool.
Yeah.
I thought it was funnier than Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
I thought it was...
Yeah, I didn't actually... I cried a couple times in this movie and didn't during Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
how funny it was. I was crying.
that was one thing that they really did nail. Like I've mentioned, some of the casting was iffy. Venom was perfect.
Right.
Like, he was hilarious. The timing of what he said, when he said it, how he said it was all perfect. So, yeah, a lot of the other characters, you were just kind of like, this is... odd. I don't like how this is being done. I never had a single complaint about anything that was happening when Venom was on screen. Everything, when it was serious and there was action, it was great. The CGI was actually really good.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't think it was going to be that good from the trailer.
On Venom, there was some bad CGI, but Venom wasn't the bad CGI. So when it was serious, it was great. When he was being funny, he was hilarious, and anywhere in between, it was great.
When I saw the trailer, I thought they were going for more serious stuff.
Yeah,
I thought it was
really.
going to have that Marvel humor just dropped in.
Yeah.
But
the turd and the wind line. Like, I enjoyed it more in the movie than I did in the trailer. Because in the trailer, you're kind of like, why did you say that?
Yeah, it's all. It was really out of context.
And in the actual movie, it's like the last scene in the movie, and at this point, you've already established Venom's kind of an odd guy.
Yeah,
he doesn't really know how to communicate. He doesn't really understand how the world works, and he's hilarious. So when he says something odd, you're like, he's quirky old Venom. Like, it makes sense.
In the beginning, I don't know if it's because it was slow or not, but I didn't really buy Tom Hardy as being a reporter. I know he got fired pretty quickly. He just doesn't look like a reporter.
No, he didn't act like
he's jacked. He doesn't act like he didn't dress professionally. He dressed like he was
completely unprofessional.
Just a hoodie and a jeans. Like, he just didn't seem like a reporter whatsoever. I had a little hard time buying that at first. I guess I got over that where they moved away from it as the movie was going on.
Honestly, yeah, that's where the ironically enjoying it versus the unironically enjoying it tied together was when Venom was on screen, I was genuinely enjoying it. Anything else, it was so bad it was good.
Yeah.
So I was never bored, but I had to switch my mindset back and forth depending on what was happening on the screen. And that's really weird. Like, I can't think of anything like that. Like, I mean, you could compare it to The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane is awesome and everything else about the movie isn't, but The Dark Knight Rises never comes close to being so bad it's funny.
No,
so I don't really have any sort of comparison for this kind of movie. It's unique.
Yeah,
so that's
unique.
something.
It's very unique in its own
I mean,
way.
I'll buy this movie when it comes out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this again and enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna go see a sequel when they finally make a sequel to it. And hopefully they introduce Spider-Man. That'll be cool. I'd like to see that comedy bouncing off each other.
They better have that come into play, because I was thinking about it when I was watching it, going like, how would Tom Holland and Tom Hardy work together? And I was like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah,
this is gonna be good.
Can we talk about spoilers now? Because I want to bring up.
Yeah, we can move on to spoilers. So to wrap it up, go see it. Just be prepared to have fun, laugh at the dumb stuff, enjoy the great stuff. There's plenty of both. It's all around just a good time. I think that would be a good time while drunk or while sober. Both. It's great. So go ahead and enjoy it, because it's worth it.
The scenes, the post-credit scenes, the Carnage is going to be interesting. Yeah, Carnage is going to be interesting. Is he crazy? I don't know much about Carnage. Is he supposed to be crazy?
He is crazy. I normally do really like Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a 30-second clip. I wasn't buying him as Cletus Cassidy. He kind of just sat there and was like, do I have to pretend to be crazy, or can we just get straight to this? Because when I get out of here, there's gonna be carnage. I'm like, I get it. It's because your name's Carnage.
For me, I don't know a lot about these characters. I'm well aware of who Carnage is. I know who Venom is, but I'm not real familiar with these characters. So I'm not necessarily let down. My first real introduction into how these characters are this. Right. So as far as I'm concerned, that's how he is, and it's just gonna be interesting to see.
Did you ever see The Incredible Hulk?
Edward Norton one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it really reminded me of that when the scientist is like looking at the Hulk and he's like, oh, if we could replicate this would be an abomination. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. It was that all over again. It really was. Like, it was that. Good. That was a letdown. And then the second post-credit scene,
we waited forever
for. The credits took forever to finish. I had heard briefly that I had heard rumors that it was Spider-Man related. So I was like, awesome, we get to see Tom Hardy and Venom. They're going to say something, or Tom Holland and Tom Hardy together. We're going to see something funny, maybe quirky. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. They probably had to go back and do a reshoot. And then it was for the animated Spider-Man movie, and it was like a full scene. Like, I don't know what it was going on. It was just like, in an alternate universe. So I mean, it was like, that was cool, but once again, that was a letdown too. Like, I was like, I don't know what that had to do with anything.
Yeah, I thought Venom was gonna be in it somehow, some way. Maybe not this Venom, but Venom, because it's at a Venom movie.
Some sort of correlation at all.
I mean, in and of itself, it was cool. I was just expecting something more Venom related.
Yeah. I think it's another one of the things where if I go back and rewatch it, I won't be disappointed. But because of what I was expecting, I was just like, that was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
So getting on to Venom's lines, because his lines were odd at times, but they were phenomenally odd. So it's like if you approach the lines as it's quirky on purpose and it's goofy, like Turd in the Wind, and I was going, this is weird. But if you actually approach it as it's like he's supposed to be odd, it's really funny. And my favorite scene in the whole, I'm going to have to censor this later because I'm going to do it, but this whole movie was, you've got this scene where Tom Hardy, or Venom, is breaking into this building. They're on like the 100th floor. And he just goes through this whole scene where he's just wrecking the whole place. And then he looks out the cavern on the side of the building where he broke through on the first time. And you hear Venom's voice go, jump. And it cuts to him getting on the elevator. And you just hear Venom go. The theater didn't buy into it being funny for like 40 minutes, honestly. I was dying the whole time, but it took a while for other people to start being like, yeah, we're allowed to laugh at this. This is funny.
This is funny.
And that was when nobody was holding back anymore. Everybody died at that scene. And it was hilarious. And there was plenty of lines like that. And Tom Hardy, too, like you just said, he was actually genuinely funny, too. Yeah. I don't agree with the choice to make Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock funny, because Eddie Brock, the character, isn't supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be a contrast between Venom and Eddie Brock, but they kind of melded in the middle somewhere. Right. And there's this scene where Venom and Eddie Brock have been separated, and they're in the woods, or Eddie Brock's in the woods, and he's about to get shot by the bad guy. And the bad guy is like, well, I'm just gonna kill you. And he's like, it doesn't matter if you kill me anyway, because this is way bigger than us. And then you see Venom in the background kick some guy's ass. And you just see Eddie Brock go like, okay. And he moves to stall mode. It's like way bigger. It's really big. And that was funny. It had a lot of little lines like that. There's a lot of really funny stuff with Eddie Brock talking to people, and then Venom talking in his head
back to him, right? Back and forth.
It was really funny. Like one of the last scenes, you're supposed to think Venom's dead, but Eddie Brock has Venom inside of him at that moment, and the girl's talking to him, and she's acting like, "Hey, don't tell my boyfriend about what happened." And you hear Venom go, huh, "She doesn't know that we're gonna get back together." It's just lines like that. He's just like a third party in the movie, just kind of like narrating at times. And it was great.
So the CGI fight at the end, done very well. It was the Venom's version, like Riot. Is that what they call him? Yeah, Riot. I've never heard of him, but he's kick-ass.
The whole scene was CGI. Yeah. But I didn't complain once about it.
No, it was really good. Especially when, at one point, they were like a bit of a jumbled mess. I was like, what the hell? And then it started to kind of like, actually, they started to come together. Yeah. And it looked really cool. Like, once it started to come together, it looked really cool.
I don't know if I'd seen it in that trailer or in some sort of clip before, but I think I'd seen that part where they both kind of separate out and then come back together. And I thought it was cool then. It was even cooler in the movie. I thought. It was one of the best shots, serious shots of the movie.
It was cool how... you could tell when Eddie Brock was separated from the symbiote that he actually started to feel for it and kind of wanted it, and that was cool. Nice character development. At first, he was like, "What the f- is this thing?" Mm-hmm. And then, as the movie went on,
it really was unbelievable. Some of the dialogue, well, all the dialogue early on, but like, I think whoever wrote it did not understand basic emotional relationships and how they work, because none of the dialogue made any sense other than the Venom Eddie Brock stuff.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe they didn't understand the actual source material. Maybe it was just some executive at Sony.
I think it's just people not understanding how emotions work. Yeah, I think the computer wrote this movie. Here's an actual plot point that we can talk about that's not just dialogue based. Right. So you've got this doctor sneaking Tom Hardy into the lab. So we can take pictures and stuff, and then he accidentally unleashes the Venom symbiote onto himself, and then he breaks out, and then they're trying to figure out who got in here and who let them in here, and so then they find out, oh, Eddie Brock got in here, and then they're like, how did he get in here? It's like, you got security cameras, right? They were just walking out in the open.
Well, like, the worst part is later when they find him at his house. After he gets away, later they're viewing footage from his house. Yeah. Somehow they had cameras set up in his house.
Cinematic footage.
Yeah. It's like, how did...
It's like not body cams, nothing like that. Cinematic footage. Full HD footage.
We put the cameras in your place, not our building. Yeah.
As they came in, a whole camera wheeled in behind them. We got him now.
Yeah, there was a couple, things that didn't make so much sense to me, like when Eddie Brock was running through the forest, he was just run through a couple trees, like full on trees, just ran right through them, but yet the symbiote couldn't break through the glass. I mean, maybe because it wasn't in him, I don't know, but I feel like
it was on the homeless woman and she didn't break out of her cell. They had the symbiotes inside of the people in glass cells.
Oh yeah, that's true, that's right.
Why didn't they just break out?
Yeah, it's
if
just
you can
glass,
just break through these freaking walls. Is not a strength or speed issue. You would just fall apart if you did it. Honestly, so it's, I don't know. There's obviously none of the science behind it made any sense.
The scene you point out in the movie when they put the first guy in the chamber to test him, and he's like, look, he's got his face up against the glass trying to look through, struggling to look through, but then 30 seconds later, everyone else is just looking through. Like he didn't have any trouble.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And there was this. This goes back to the emotional disconnect in the writing, or not understanding how people talk. Anytime the bad guy said anything about the symbiotes, it was so just dumb. Like they were trying to show, oh, he doesn't care about people. He just cares about improvement and advancing the human race as fast as possible. But it's like the symbiote kills a person and he goes, okay, bring in the next person. It's like, no, you would at least be like, dang it, it didn't work. Like, you'd have some sort of reaction other than, all right, next person. It's just dumb. Like, they were going overboard trying to show, this guy's bad. Yeah. Ooh, we don't like him.
One thing that didn't work for me was Venom wanted to pretty much destroy the planet at first.
Right.
And, I guess being in Eddie, you know, he just learned about humanity, but they didn't do anything to show it enough.
Did?
What did they?
I'm a loser.
Oh, yeah. That's another great line. Well, on my planet, I'm a loser.
On my planet, I'm a bit of a loser. So, I mean, I could be cooler here. I was dying.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. See, that's where they really nailed Venom. And, like, I know not all iterations of Venom, he's that goofy.
Right.
But it worked for what they were going for. And that's a valid version of Venom. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like, it was a valid reason for him to switch sides. Like, granted, there was more to it than that. He did say, oh, I actually do really like you, talking to Eddie.
Right.
And then he ended up liking Anne, which was the girl. And he found out, he had that line where he's like, oh, your world's actually kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of...
when he's standing on the tower.
Yeah, there was a lot of little lines in there where it kind of showed, like, he was learning to appreciate the world. But then the last line of, like, well, I'm kind of a loser.
Yeah, kind of
really sold everything. I'm like, okay. And then you actually then see when he's fighting, right, he's smaller than him. And you realize, oh, Venom's not, like, a cool guy. He's not, like, he's not a badass on his planet. He's a wimp.
What are our chances of survival? No.
About zero.
About zero. He's got you've never seen.
I love just the way he talked. It was
cool. It reminded me of the Mortal Kombat. Finish him a little bit, but it was still very cool.
I loved it. It was hilarious. It's not a good movie. I don't want to give you the idea that it's a great movie. It's
got stupid loopholes in the plot. It's
fun. It is the epitome of a fun movie.
Entertaining, fun.
And I can't stress enough that it's absolutely terrible when Venom's not on screen.
Yeah.
Everything aside from Venom is awful. But it's so bad that you'll be entertained by it.
Yeah.
And then when Venom's on, he is so good that you don't care about everything else, and you revert back to just enjoying it for being good.
It reminds me of the Joker in The Dark Knight. Not that The Dark Knight is a bad movie by any stretch. It's amazing, but
you're waiting for the Joker to be on the
screen. Yeah, the whole time. That's exactly how it is with Venom. You just want him to be on screen the whole time.
How many times can we compare this to great Nolan films?
It's like Interception, right?
It's kind of like Interstellar, where it's like, this is bigger.
It's way bigger than you.
The first half hour is definitely a bit to get through, but you won't.
Yeah.
You won't regret it.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Here's the turning point. I did mention the one scene before where I said everybody was laughing, but the genuine turning point was the restaurant scene. He's going around looking for food.
Ah, yes.
And he goes and he grabs and eats a lobster and goes, "This is dead," and throws it down. And then he climbs into the lobster tank and goes, this is better. This is better. And then he just grabs the lobsters and starts eating it. It was so funny. And like right before that too, these people weren't completely sold on laughing yet, but he's like on a trolley and you just hear Venom go, "Food, hungry, eat." And it was funny.
Can we bite their heads off and put them in the pile in the corner?
Oh, that was a great line. That really was a phenomenal line because, like, it gave such insight to how Venom thought. Yeah. He's like, that scene where all the troopers break into Eddie Brock's house or apartment, and Venom's like killing them all, and then he goes, "Can we bite off their heads now?" And Eddie Brock's like, "No, we can't do that. I want to pile their heads in one pile and pile their bodies in another pile." He's like, "Why would we do that? Pile of bodies and pile of heads." And that's his only explanation. He's like, "Do I need to say more? Like, pile here, pile there." Duh. All of the action sequences too, like some of the action shots in the trailer, it looked cheesy with him getting away on the bike and stuff. It worked a lot better in the movie. Like there's some really cool shots in there. There was like I said, the CGI at the end it's the whole scene CGI between Riot and Venom fighting. I didn't complain. It looked genuinely good, especially for Sony. I've never been remotely impressed by Sony CGI. Sony CGI was that building on the side of the cliff.
Yeah, no, that
was
looked awful.
Terrible. But Venom was genuinely good, and I think they legitimately probably spent their entire budget on it, and it was worth it.
Yeah. That and Tom Hardy, getting him to be in the movie, and then the rest. Yeah, I
understand why people don't like it. I do.
Yeah, I can see that. I could,
but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
If you go in expecting, because it's Venom. I always thought Venom was darker and more evil. I didn't know he was funny, so like that really caught me off guard. Right. So I thought it was gonna be, like I said, Marvel, a little humor here and there, but wow,
it's not like they sugarcoat him. It's a PG-13 movie.
Yeah,
but Venom is still ripping people's heads off,
Bites off
and
heads,
he's
arms.
constantly talking about eating people.
Yeah.
The whole time. And it's like, so they've not sugarcoated him more than you have to for a PG-13 movie, but they definitely really do nail his humor side.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's dark, but he's not unenjoyably so.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like Suicide Squad where everything's just, you can't see anything, it's so dark. And that's not even a joke. Like, you can't watch that movie, you can't see
one of the
it.
reviews I watched said it was really dark, and he's dark, you can't see it. I didn't have any problem seeing
No.
anything. The only, like I said, at the end when the CG, there was looked a little jumbled, but that was more of them coming together because I didn't realize what was going on in the
Yeah.
scene. Once I realized what was going on, it looked fine. But like at first, I was like, what? But
That's the one thing that I noticed too, though, is it was filmed like, the cinematography of it was filmed like it was one of those dark and gritty DC movies.
Yeah.
Not overboard.
Yeah,
but like
not.
there's scenes where it was very cinematic, and like that scene that I mentioned where they're in the woods, it's all foggy, it's dark, it's set up like a serious movie, and then you've got the jokes coming. And it was like, it was an odd but fine mix. I enjoyed it, actually. And that might, well, okay. Venom's not necessarily in that scene, and I enjoyed that scene, unironically.
there you go. Yeah, but Tom Hardy was though.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a definite difference between Eddie Brock
And Tom Hardy.
and Venom in this movie. But Eddie Brock did have a couple of good jokes in there. That's just that was iffy.
It had to be done like on purpose or directed that way because Tom Hardy's a good actor.
Yeah,
He could pull that off. That wasn't something hard to do.
Yeah, I know.
He could have pulled that
Like,
off.
it's just like, oh god, and walk out. That was obviously done for laughs.
Yeah.
But it's just so unexpected, at least for me it was. And I really do think the director was confused for what he was going for, had some bad casting to work with, and the script was god awful.
Considering all that, he kind of did all right.
Yeah, he nailed it for what he had.
Yeah, considering what he had, he nailed it.
And yeah, Tom Hardy's definitely always watchable. Even in his weird moments, I was laughing.
Yeah.
The fish tank. So funny. I was like, what am I watching right now?
That looks delicious. He's looking at a dog.
I really wanted him to eat that dog.
Yeah.
He never did. Like, I just wanted him to rip its head off. If it was a cat, you know he would have. Oh, the line about the cat was
Mr.
funny.
Belvedere. I saw
He's
Mr.
like,
Belvedere up there.
does he miss me? I would lie and say that he does, but he doesn't. Well, he's a cat.
Cats don't like anyone.
Oh, it's funny. All right, so yeah, that's what we thought of it. It's definitely a goofy movie, but it's a riot.
Yeah. I see what you did there. I see it. See it in my own eyes.
That was pretty much the equivalent of their riot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely go see it. Like I said, I'm gonna buy it when it comes out. I would consider seeing it again in theaters. I might do it again.
And maybe we'll go Jim again.
Or Justin, or
whoever.
any
Get
of
'em all.
them. Yeah, so definitely go out and see it if you've got the chance. If it's playing near you still, it should be. It just came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's breaking records. It shouldn't be out of theaters anytime soon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
peace.
30% my ass.
Peace.